You ever have one of those mornings where you walk into the shop, look at a pile of raw stock, and just swear the wood is staring back at you with a grudge? I spent 40 minutes today just looking for my favorite marking knife, only to find it tucked behind my ear like a pencil. My brain was firing on about two cylinders.
Only 40 minutes? That's a personal best for you, Tiger. Usually we have to start a search party near the drill press. But hey, if your brain is finally in gear, we've actually got a lot to chew on today. We're looking at some heavy-duty tech upgrades, the death of the aesthetic on the gram, and why a bunch of teenagers in Tennessee are probably better at TIG welding than you are right now.
Oh, they definitely are. Those Skills USA kids don't have 30 years of bad habits and shaky hands to unlearn. They're surgical. But before we get to the young guns, I was reading up on this SmartCam 2026 update. They finally figured out how to let us mask and hide parts of a build without the software having a digital heart attack.
I saw that. It's got that new rotation support for multi-axis stuff too. Does that actually change the game for someone like you, or is it just more buttons to accidentally click?
It's the difference between navigating a dark room with a flashlight and just turning on the overhead lights. When you're doing multi-axis work, you used to have to hold the entire geometry in your head like some kind of 3D chess player. Now, being able to tuck away the parts you aren't touching, it just clears the mental clutter. It's like cleaning your workbench before you start a finishing coat. You can actually see the path forward.
Speaking of seeing the path, there's this Tekoi LS-KOV modular laser making waves. Modular is the buzzword of the year, but this one actually looks legit. You can basically start small and just add on as you get bigger.
I wish I'd had that 20 years ago. Back in the day, if you bought a machine, you were married to that footprint. If you outgrew it, you had to sell the whole rig, hire a rigger, crane a new one in, and pray the floor joist held. This Takoi setup is like Legos for heavy industry. You start with a modest bed for small parts, and if you land a contract for massive architectural sheets, you just bolt on more capacity. It's a way to grow your business without having to take out a second mortgage every time you get a new client.
It sounds like the Topshop's benchmarking survey folks are onto something then. They released their 10 patterns for 2026. I was skimming it, and it turns out the most profitable shops aren't necessarily the ones with the most expensive toys. It's the ones who lean into this kind of flexibility.
It's the lean and mean philosophy. The guys who are crushing it right now aren't the ones stockpiling every tool in the catalog. They're the ones who know exactly how much blood, sweat, and electricity goes into every square inch of product. Knowing your overhead is way more important than having the shiniest laser in the county.
Speaking of blood and sweat, let's talk shop class. You mentioned those Skills USA kids. Tennessee and Texas are hosting their state competitions right now. It's basically the Olympics for people who like fire and molten metal.
It's incredible to watch. You see these 19-year-olds laying down beads that look like a stack of silver dimes. Perfectly consistent, no undercut, just pure art. And the crazy thing is, these competitions are basically the biggest job fairs on the planet right now. Recruiters are standing there with clipboards like they're scouting for the NFL.
Well, the money is there. I saw a note in the AWS Welding Journal that getting your CWI, the Certified Welding Inspector Badge, can bump your pay by 30%. That's not exactly pocket change.
That's the forgotten gold mine, Alex. Everyone wants to be the guy under the hood, but the guy who knows how to inspect the weld and sign off on the safety of a bridge, that guy never goes hungry. It's a different kind of discipline. It's less about the flick of the wrist and more about knowing the metallurgy and the codes inside out. If you're a hobbyist looking to go pro, that's the ladder you want to climb. It transforms you from a hand into an expert.
Okay, let's pivot to the maker mogul side of things. We need to talk about your Instagram, Tiger, or lack thereof, because the 2026 trends are basically calling your name. The perfect feed is officially dead.
Thank goodness for that. I never understood the guys who spend 4 hours setting up studio lights just to take a picture of a dovetail. My shop looks like a tornado hit a lumberyard most days.
Exactly. And apparently, that's what people want now. The unpolished revolution. The data shows that followers are gravitating toward the mess, the failed welds, the "I cut this board twice and it's still too short" moments. It builds trust. People are tired of the "I'm a perfect craftsman" facade.
It makes sense. It's the human element. If I show you a perfect table, you're impressed. But if I show you the 3 hours I spent crying in the corner because I spilled an entire gallon of oil-based finish on my boots, suddenly, we're friends. We've shared a foxhole.
Well, just don't post the crying part too often. But they're also saying fast-paced edits are the way to go. No more 5-minute intros with acoustic guitar music. Just cut, weld, grind, done. People have the attention span of a goldfish in 2026.
It's a get to the point world. But there's a massive opportunity there. Instagram is looking at 42 billion in ad revenue this year, even for a small-time maker. Throwing 20 bucks at a boost on a video that shows your actual process can put you in front of more local customers than 1,000 flyers ever could.
Just remember, authenticity over polish. Keep the sawdust in the frame.
You know, we talk a lot about the big tech and the business side, but I've been watching some of the home build creators on YouTube lately. They're hitting these massive milestones, walls going up, roofs being dried in, and it reminded me of something I struggled with for years.
The final 5% syndrome.
Man, you hit the nail on the head. You get 95% of a project done. The table is built, the drawers slide, it's functional. But then there's that last 5%. The final sanding, the hardware adjustment, the tiny bit of trim. That's where the good projects go to die. They just sit in the corner of the shop, haunting you.
It's the discipline of the finish line. It's easy to be excited when you're ripping big boards on the table saw. It's a lot harder to be excited when you're hand-scrubbing wax into a corner for the third time.
Exactly, but that's where the mastery is. I've started telling myself that the project isn't mostly done. It's halfway there until that last coat of varnish is dry. You have to trick your brain into keeping that momentum. Whether you're building a shed or just organizing your junk drawer, that final push is what separates a task from a triumph.
I like that. Small projects, big progress. It's about building the habit of actually crossing the finish line, regardless of the scale.
Spot on. Don't look at the whole mountain. Just look at the next 3 steps. Fix one wonky cabinet door this weekend. Sharp your plane irons. Just do one thing that makes your space better than it was on Friday.
Solid advice. For everyone listening, if you want to dive deeper into the certifications we talked about or how to actually price your work without losing your shirt, go check out the learning paths on the TigerDen site. We've got the full breakdown on the trades, the maker business, and the DIY stuff.
And remember, whether you're throwing sparks or pushing a plane, the only way to fail is to leave the tools on the rack. Stay gritty, keep your fingers clear of the blade, and stay creative.
See you in the den.